right, so let's go ahead and see if we are back, if we are good, if OBS wants to be friends with us right now, please. All right, it looks like we are good. I'm just gonna check it on the app and see what's up. Okay, it looks like it is live and it is good. All right. Welcome back. I'm gonna go ahead and share this one so that way people know. All right, Oscar and Saya are in here. That's ridiculous. I don't know what is going on because I updated everything. It was supposed to be good. I thought I fixed it, but I guess I didn't. So, sorry for that interruption, but we are back now. I'm going to let people have a minute to come back in here. If you are watching this after the live has ended, this is part 2 of our live stream from today. I will put the link to part 1 in the pinned comment down below, so you can go ahead and watch that first. We are in the middle of a conversation, so I don't want you to be behind on it. Christina said, YouTube said no. I don't know if it's YouTube, if it's OBS, if it's my internet provider. I have no idea. All right, got Danielle in here. Danielle said, I made it just in time. Hi, everyone. This is actually part 2 of a conversation we were having. The first part got cut off, so you're coming in right in the middle of something, but part 1 will be up, of course. It's already up right now, so if you want to catch up on that later, or if you want to do it now, totally cool. Sharon said, I'm so happy I finally caught one of your lives. Well, welcome. All right, so just to kind of wrap up what we were talking about, the swoop video on Mykie. Mykie displayed a lot of behavior that cannot be defended. I mean, it was just bigoted, microaggressive, ignorant behavior, and she'd made an apology, which was not great, and I'll go ahead and read it now. Basically, yeah, I'm like, that's pretty much all my notes, is just Mykie heavily focusing on the fact that Black people and people of color and people in the LGBTQ plus community are handed success, and white people have to work harder. So that's a good take, right? No, it's not. And Mykie, of course, did a little notes apology on her Instagram, and let's go ahead and just read and see what she has to say so we give everyone a chance to say their piece. I was going to say, I feel like we don't need to hear what her side of the story is because Spanky literally provided proof, but this is her apology, so here we go. All right, Danielle said, I heard the first part while I was driving home, couldn't comment until part 2 started. Gotcha. Okay, well, cool. Glad you're in here. So, Mykie said, I'm sorry for my behavior in years past, and I should have said this sooner. I ignorantly, selfishly, truly have not understood, nor did I take the time to listen about others' hardships when I was so consumed and angered with my own problems. Problems like having millions of subscribers and collaborating with 2 of the largest creators in your community. Okay. I equated things, and of course, obviously she could be going through things in her own personal life, but Spanky wasn't talking about things in Mykie's personal life. She was talking about professional complaints that Mykie had. So, Christina said, first red flag is in years past. Exactly. Saya said, like, some of this stuff happened literally a few months ago. Saya said, Mykie completely forgets about misogyny and jumps to blaming minorities. It's not a good apology. It's so bad. Yeah, and that's the thing. Somebody said, I'm trying to remember who I was listening to, but somebody said, like, it's not like she said these men are the ones who are the most successful, because men typically have an easier time, like, gaining success, because, like I said, they're perceived to be competent, while women have to prove it in a lot of cases. She literally focused on LGBTQ+, these gay men, which is bigotry. All right, so back to her apology. I equated things that are not equatable. I've said a lot of things I regret and that I don't feel reflect who I am today, even though these things happened just a few months ago. That's my addition, not Mikey's. I am ashamed of jokes I made in the past that I excused as edgy humor. I'm ashamed at times I've been incredibly tone deaf and excused that, even in past apologies, by my well-meaning intentions. And she parentheses United, so I'm assuming she means the United Airlines look, the makeup look that she did, which I don't understand what good intentions you could have with making a makeup look about somebody who was brutalized and dragged off an airplane. But okay. If I'm missing the mark, good intentions or not, I'm missing the mark and should have been listening. And some things weren't simply missing the mark, they were just plain wrong. Parentheses, Rihanna mentioned in Bruce's tutorial. In truth, I have just wanted them to go away because the thought of addressing it out of seemingly nowhere terrified me. I have been afraid of being condemned for my past actions forever. I have changed a lot in the past 2 years, and I am so ashamed of who I used to be, how self-absorbed I was, the way I used to direct my own insecurities onto other people, the way I've been so defensive, the way I refused to listen. But you are owed an apology, and I've been too coward to say it. It took me seeing a lot of my own problems through some events I went through last year that very few people in my life know about to start to be open to basics. To start to be open to basics I always should have and wished I'd been open to long beforehand. I have been dealing with this privately, but I do not like who I used to be, and I have been working on this. I have lacked empathy, I have lacked patience, I lack courage. I had hoped my future actions would show that I don't stand by the things I've said or done in the past, but I should have apologized as well. Again, I was choosing the comfort of myself over the comfort of those I have hurt. This is coming too late, and sorry is not nearly enough, but I am deeply sorry. Learning how to be a good ally will be a lifelong journey, but I want to listen, to grow, and to be better. In 2018 and 2019, I was going through my own dark things she did not know about at times when I did not reply back to her. It wasn't personal, and I alluded to this once but never went into detail about it. With regard to her sexual assault tweets, I reached out about them because of what's mentioned in this later text. I assumed this was omitted for my privacy, but this is why. Her tweets impacted me as someone who has struggled speaking about my own experiences of the internalization of guilt she mentioned. I don't say this to garner sympathy, I just want it to be abundantly clear that it helped me when I saw her tweets, which is why I asked if I could share the tweet. When she didn't reply, I did not share it. Which is kind of, as far as sharing Spanky's tweet about her own sexual assault experience, it's just kind of an interesting question. It's an interesting thing to reach out about. You know, it's a public post. So you obviously know that something's off if you're reaching out to her. You know that you guys haven't been talking, that she probably doesn't necessarily consider you a friend at this point. So you're asking if you can share her sexual assault story, like you can retweet it. It just is interesting, but she shared a screenshot of what she sent to Spanky, and the first part was, of course, what we saw. Maybe this is a dumb question, but are you okay with people sharing your story? I'd like to retweet to share if it would help more people see it, but also don't know if that's appropriate. In any case, I'm here if you need to talk. I've been sexually assaulted too, and I know some people can be really effing horrible about it. I'm always here to listen if you need an ear. Which is terrible. I was so focused on critique. Basic human empathy. That's horrible. That is terrible that she has experienced sexual assault as well. I do think it was really great of Spanky to not include that part, because it's definitely, you know, not anyone else's place to share on someone else's assault if they haven't spoken out publicly. So I guess it's good that Mykie acknowledged that and said, you know, hey, this was, you know, something that she omitted from my privacy, but I did go through something similar, so that's why I wanted to reach out to her. But it's just a weird time to reach out and to ask about it. Instead of just saying, hey, I just saw your tweet and I know we haven't been talking much, but I want you to know I'm here for you. She asks if she can share it. It's just an odd approach to me. So then she said, as far as personal things that have gone on between Spanky and I, a lot of things were shared or omitted without the full context, which does change some of the conversations, but I understand that even without full context, that does not make it any less harmful today. It's uncomfortable for me to get this personal online, but I understand my comfort has come at the detriment to others, so I need to address this. In short, we were very close at one point. I trusted her, and we vented together often about the beauty community. A lot of my insecurities and jealousy issues came through in deplorable ways that were said in anger and frustration. I was feeling bad for myself when I shouldn't have, and aimed those feelings at those succeeding around me in an attempt to cope with my own problems. With Spanky, I tried to console her in ways that I hoped would help when she was at a low point, and I looked for any upside I thought I could find, but I understand why I was ultimately selfish and way off the mark with how I tried to do that. I missed her frustrations due to my own ignorance, and I wish I had been a better friend and a better listener. The truth is, I just did not know she felt most of these things until now, and it will take some examining and my own perspective and listening to learn how it got here, as my intent was never to hurt her, but again, I understand intent is not the end-all be-all, so I take responsibility for how badly my intent did not align with my actions. Ultimately, it's my fault. I did not realize all the times I upset her over the years, and that I did not provide her an environment where she felt safe to discuss this, so please do not give her any hate. I'd like to work it out privately if she wants to talk, and if not, I understand that as well. In my last text to her, I mentioned talking about what was going on when I saw she unfollowed me, and I didn't understand why. She did not reply. I only share this so that you understand that I'd like to listen to her and make apologies privately as well. I don't want to pester her if she didn't want to talk then, but with this now, I feel I should try again. I am grateful she called me out on the things I'm ashamed of from my past, because an apology was needed for that, and I know she just wants better for those who have been hurt. I hope we can find some kind of resolution for everything that's happened between us as friends. I'm sorry to Spanky and the BIPOC and LGBTQ+ community who were hurt by this, and I promise to do better moving forward. So that was a lot. I'm going to see what some of you guys are saying. Abby said, I feel like she should apologize on YouTube since that's where the video was posted. That's typically how I feel about most things, is like address it where it occurred, and I agree with it in this case too. Oscar said, why does this sound like every other racist apology on this app? I feel like they must have like a template that they use. It's like, I was in a dark place, I'm sorry, I didn't listen, I was ashamed, I'm here to listen now. It just felt very wordy, and I feel like if it was gonna be that long, because you guys saw how long it took me to read that, like, most people going through Instagram stories aren't gonna spend that much time reading the apology. I feel like if it was gonna be that long, which it should be, of considerable length, she should address it in a video. Marty said, in years past, I mean, I know 2020 feels like 10 years, but that's funny. Christina said, second flag the words out of nowhere, but she didn't listen, for years. Oscar said, I missed when gaslighting changed into ignoring. Exactly. And the thing is, she's like, I was trying to find positives. How are you trying? So when Spanky says that she's feeling like she's having a tough time, and you say, I feel the same but different because white people aren't getting hired in Hollywood anymore, and white people don't stick out on YouTube, how is that you finding an upside? Like a legitimate, genuine question. How do you think that is helpful to your friend? How is that an upside to your friend? You know, I'm trying to think of the way I would approach it if somebody came to me, if one of my friends came to me in a similar position with a similar problem. Like, how would you think that would make them feel better? I just don't get it. Marty said she ghosted Spanky for ages, then didn't reach out until it appeared good for her image. Exactly. Oscar said trauma is also not an excuse for bigotry. Exactly. It's not like she was just like talking smack and she was like, ugh, James is annoying. Ugh, like Jeffrey seems mean. Like, she wasn't just talking smack. She was saying gay men, people in this community, people in that community get success. So it's not just like you're venting because you're annoyed that like you think somebody who has less talent than you and doesn't work as hard as you is getting success, like, because of, just, I don't know, one, because they're men, because that happens, or you're just saying like, ugh, I don't like James and I don't think he works as hard as me. I wish I had more subscribers. You're saying he's gay, so that's why he gets them. Right. Yeah, Marty said, help, how? And what upside? You made everything about yourself. How is that providing comfort? Exactly, it's not. Christina said she mentioned her last text with Swoop to cast a negative light at Swoop and off herself. On the nose, Christina, because that's saying like, well, I tried to reach out, but she didn't want to talk to me. But if she wants to talk to me, I'd love to work it out, but she's ignoring me. Exactly. So I said, exactly, Oscar. Mykie was also active socially during that time, so I don't entirely believe that excuse that she was in such a dark place, she ignored Spanky. So true. And Spanky also said, I know we've been on here for a long time, so I'm just going to get through these comments real quick, and then we'll move on to the next topic. But Spanky said that Mykie didn't reach out to her at all, like, over the past few months, especially, like, over the summer, when people were protesting, when everyone was posting their black squares and talking about how many followers they lost, and Mykie called it a badge of honor to lose followers. Side note, it's a badge of honor to lose followers because you're posting about how you believe that everyone should have the same human rights. I get it. You're saying like, oh, bye, like don't let the door hit you on your way out. But also, maybe you don't talk about like your politics or all your specific beliefs on YouTube. But I find it very suspect that the people who watch you wouldn't know your character enough that would surprise them. That you speaking out for Black Lives Matter is something that they're like, oh, whoa, didn't see this coming from you. I don't like that. Because again, like you can't control like who likes your content. If somebody who's racist likes your content and you don't know that they're racist, what are you gonna do about it? Like you can't control that, but you should be enough of yourself on your channel and on your social media that people shouldn't be surprised by that. That you shouldn't be losing subscribers over that or losing followers on Instagram or Twitter. I don't know if I'm alone in feeling that way, but I feel like they should know you enough. They should know your character enough to know that you would not be okay with police brutality or racism or targeted police brutality. Like, I don't know. I was thinking about that a lot when Spanky was talking about it. Sharon said, I definitely feel if she was actually sorry about her action, she would have posted a video instead of making a notes app apology. Yeah. And if she wanted to like address it quickly, she could have put something out and said like, hey, like I understand that a lot of you are confused or hurt by my actions. They 100% were not okay. I want you to know that like I see this and I'm going to address it. Be on the lookout for a video. Like she could have addressed it in a notes apology, but thinking that those 4 stories are going to cover your bases, it doesn't seem realistic to me. Nat Jackson said, stories on Instagram where you can't comment and it disappears. Exactly. So I said, go off, B. Hey, that's just how I feel. I'm like, I already said my piece. I said it already. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Feeling kind of breezy said, I feel like YouTubers should apologize on the platform they are called out on or their largest platform where they will reach the most people. 100% agree. Oscar said, those black squares were so performative. They were. And the thing that killed me is everybody who hashtagged it, like hashtag Blackout Tuesday. And it's like, no, the point is that people aren't supposed to see you. Like, they're not supposed to see your content today. You're supposed to take a day off from posting so that people can use the hashtag for more information and for resources. Don't hashtag your black square. Carolee Trapp said, Mykie, I've never watched her needs a reality check. Stop sticking your nose in other people's business. Right. And that's the thing is like, I get that comparing yourself to other creators is a big thing. You know, you see people in the same sphere as you or the same niche as you, and you feel tempted to look at their success and be like, well, why do they have that and I don't? But at the same time, jealousy is just a hateful, terrible emotion and does no good for you or anybody else. You can vent when you feel frustrated. You can say, man, it sucks. Like, I wish that I could meet this, like this milestone. I wish I could be at this level of success. But a healthier way to do it would be to look at what they do on their channels, what it is that people like, and say, okay, how can I make this into something my own? Like, how can I put my spin on this? How can I reach those goals? As opposed to being like, they don't work as hard as me, they're terrible, and they're gay, so that's why they're succeeding. It's just ridiculous. Marty said, Mykie really is the textbook example of performative activism, propping herself up as some kind of ally in public while privately condescending to women of color. Yep. It really is. I mean, just the fact that she was, like, proud of losing subscribers or losing followers when Spanky literally proved that no matter how many followers she lost, the followers she gained because she posted about being proud of losing those followers was outweighing the ones that she lost. Like, overall, she gained in that situation. All while, behind the scenes, she hadn't been listening. She hadn't even been a good friend on a basic level to a friend. Like, regardless of the fact that there are racial issues and there are microaggressions, she was literally just being a bad friend. And on top of that, a bad friend to a woman of color. And you want to post about how many followers you lost because you support Black Lives Matter. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Oscar said it also clogged up protest info. Like, exactly. That was the point, is to get information and have access to resources and to stop having so many white people in your feed. Like, of course, you control who you follow, but I think it is a good idea to say, hey, I'm going to take a step back from this. There's information that we need to get out here, and I don't want my feed to be in the way of that. Like, I'm just going to take a day off from posting. I don't even think, when I first saw that happening, I was like, oh, should I post a black square? And I was like, no, how about you just don't post? Like, how about you just don't even clog up somebody's feed with a black square? Like, I get that it's symbolic, but I'm like, just don't post. And then they won't have to scroll past your post, and they can get the information that they need. I don't know if I'm alone on that, but I was like, it seems counterintuitive. Carolee said, being made a new word. Terrible. Terrible. We're merch idea, if I ever have merch. Terrible. Saya said, I loved watching people getting called out for posting black squares, but were then exposed for being racist like 6 months prior. That was a great time. Oh my gosh. It's ridiculous. Like, people will so much just jump on whatever they think is gonna make them look good. And it's like, really? You're really gonna pop on this when a few months ago you were saying stuff like that? Madison said, YouTube isn't like it used to be, even with the anti-MLM channels now. It's all about competition and taking people down. There's room for everyone on this platform. Exactly. That's how I feel too. It's like, nobody can do exactly what you do exactly the same way that you do it. So just stick to what you like, make what you like. And if you see people who are being successful in a similar community, feel free to take a look at them, watch them, see what people like about them, and incorporate it into your content. Make it your own. I don't think there's a problem with that, but you can be subscribed to more than one person on YouTube. There are plenty of people in the world to watch YouTube channels. So it doesn't have to be, I get that it is this, like, catty community sometimes where people, like, tear each other down so they can be more successful, but it doesn't have to be that way. Oscar said, I think it's funny that she could have pointed out that they're both white men, and that's part of it, but she really went for the only thing they're both oppressed for. Exactly. Because if she had said, they're both white men, that would be something that it's like, yes, statistically, like, that makes sense. White, we've had this conversation. I agree with you, Oscar. She could have went just for the fact that they're both men. The fact that they're both white men. But she didn't. Which tells me what her true feelings are, if I'm being honest. Like, if that's what you're going for, if that's the thing that you're pointing out, I think I know how you really feel. Feeling Kind of Breezy said, I appreciated Spanky making the comparison of going to the casino and winning money, but only telling people about the money you lost. It definitely helped me understand better. Yeah, I think that was a really great comparison because it's very visual and it helps you understand exactly how. I don't like to, like, copy all the lingo, but, like, it was performative. You weren't losing subscribers overall. Yeah, people were leaving, but more people were coming. And so you didn't really lose out, did you? You got to look good in the public eye with your badge of honor. You got to get more subscribers. Why make it look like you're in a disadvantaged spot? Oscar said, like, you could have had a point, and you said homophobia. Exactly. It just is ridiculous. And the thing that really kills me, this is going to be the last thing I'll say, because we just keep going on and on. This is the last thing I'm going to say, is behind the scenes saying homophobic, bigoted things, and then in public saying, yeah, I'll do a collab on your channel. Like, that's so ridiculous to me that you're talking so badly about these people behind the scenes and discrediting the hard work that they actually do, because despite Jeffrey, despite all of his terribleness, because let's be real, not a great person, and some of the stuff James has been in isn't great either. He does copy people sometimes and not give them credit. Like, neither of them are pillars of the community, but they do work hard. They put effort into their stuff. Jeffrey, at this point, like, obviously he's not on YouTube as much, but he did put in the work for a few years. And so you can't just say, like, oh, it's because they're gay. Nah. They work hard, mostly, and people seem to like them. Also, men often have an advantage over women when it comes to success, and there are plenty of things that you could say, they did that well, I want to take this for myself. Like, I want to incorporate this into my channel, but instead you look at them and say, it's because they're gay, I don't like them, I wish that I had more success because I think I deserve it more than them, and then you go and collab on their channel and try and get their subs. It's just a ridiculous thing to me. Marty McFlone said, her duplicity with James and Jeffree Star is crazy, like shading James the day before a collab is some intense mean girling. For real, like literally the day before your collab is coming out, you're gonna talk smack? Becca said, not to mention that the type of makeup Mykie does is a little more niche than just everyday glam makeup. Yeah, that's a really good point, Becca. It's a lot more specialized from what I've seen. I don't watch Mykie, but her channel's name is Glam and Gore. So obviously there's an additional element as opposed to just a typical makeup channel or a review channel. Like, it gives you this, like, picture in your head of, you know, horror stories. And she does, like, special effects makeup and really, like, wild out there looks. And from what I've seen, she's good at what she does, but not everybody's going to be interested in that. And regardless, she has millions of subscribers. So she is successful. She has success. She has fame. She has a loyal following. You should be grateful for that. You can always want more, but you should be grateful for what you have at least. Marty McFlynn said she looked at James's channel and said, your channel is so cute. Where did you get it? Then 2 seconds later, that's the ugliest effing channel I've ever seen. I think Paige said that in her live about how it's like, oh, it's like that thing from Mean Girls. And it really is. But yeah, that whole thing, I mean, I'm glad that Spanky spoke out about it. I think I really have, from what I've seen, the response has been very much in support of her, which is good. When stuff like this happens, we gotta jump on it, not like in a vicious way, but we gotta say, hey, we believe you that this thing happened. You've given us proof. She gave us screenshots. There's nothing to not believe, but we have to say, like, we hear you. It sucks that she did that. Let's go ahead and let Mykie try and make up for it if she even can, and support you in the meantime. Like, people who excuse Mykie's behavior because she's their fave, which I haven't seen a ton of, but I've heard that some of it has been happening. Y'all gotta get it together. We can't just excuse terrible behavior because we like somebody. It's not how things work. Alright, so now that we have done, oh my gosh, over an hour on that topic, let's go ahead and move on to Trisha and Ethan. And I thought that this would take a decent amount of time, but we can try and cut it down because, like I said, we've already been on here for over an hour. But Trisha and Ethan have a podcast together on the H3 channel. It's called Frenemies. And last week, Trisha walked off. Did any of y'all see that? Courtney said people gave Swoop so much hate for using screenshots but would not have believed her if she didn't. Exactly. That's the thing is, like, you can't win. And on the one hand, I understand when people are like, well, why did you have to make this public? But obviously, she didn't feel like she could work it out privately. And the thing is, she didn't necessarily make any sort of personal attacks on Mykie. She literally just said, this is what happened, and here's screenshots of it, and here's my experience. Like, you have to think about the fact that it seemed like Spanky did try and talk to her and did try to, like, reach out and have conversations, and Mykie just kept shutting her down. And I feel like this probably happens way more than we know. This is probably a very big problem, not only in, like, personal lives, but in the creator community. And I'm sure Spanky's experienced this from way more people than just Mykie. And so we have to talk about it. We have to bring attention to the fact that this kind of behavior should not be tolerated, and we gotta call people out when they are being racist or bigoted, because there's just no reason to be that way. Like, there just isn't. And so I think you're right, Courtney. People wouldn't have believed her if she didn't put the screenshots in, but now that she did, people are like, oh, that's personal, it's private information. Well, I don't know, sometimes private information gets shared in pursuit of a bigger conversation, or in pursuit of a bigger solution to something that's happening. Because nobody should have to feel like they can't go to their friends because their friend is going to turn and make it about them and how it's so much harder to be white. Anyway, moving on. Oscar said, I didn't realize they did it together. I thought he just had her on a bunch. So at first she was on the H3 podcast, but then they started a Frenemies podcast together. Bryce said, I like their friendship because I loved H3 for a long time, and I've known about Trisha since she was on My Strange Addiction. I think she can grow. I mean, I'm not a fan of Trisha. I think she's done a lot of things that are very harmful and just downright wrong. I would love to see Trisha grow. I would love to see her be better. But she's in her 30s at this point, so I'm not super hopeful for change. Becca said, I wasn't a huge fan of Trisha's podcast, so I haven't checked out the one on the H3 channel. Yeah, I didn't watch any of their Frenemies podcasts. I've just been kind of ignoring Trisha because there was for a while where we talked on the channel. I did a few videos about her, but I was like, look, I'm just over this. Like, she knows what she's doing. She's doing this kind of stuff on purpose. I'm over it. And so I haven't watched her in a while, but I watched a Peter Mon video last week where he was talking about their fight. And so I was like, okay, let's check this out. So I watched the video where they got into the fight, and then I watched the podcast episode that they did after the fight. And it was just a lot. Natalia B said, I can't stand Ethan, to be honest, and I've never watched Trisha, and I'm not about to. Yeah, so basically, they got into a fight, and Trisha walked out. I couldn't even, like, pinpoint what the fight was about. It seemed to kind of take a turn when Ethan said that Trisha weaponizes personal information against her friends. And basically, they went over a lot of different things, like, leading up to it, about how Trisha said if she didn't have to work, like if she didn't need more money, she would just have a baby right now and stay home and never work again. She would just be a mom, and asking Ethan if she thought that if he thought that she would be a good mom, and he's like, yeah, like I don't know about you and Moses being parents together, but who knows, like you should have a baby if you want to have a baby. And Trisha was talking about how it was so cute that Ethan and Hila were going away for the weekend to try and get pregnant again. She asked if she could watch their baby while they were out of town, and he straight up said no, because I know for a fact if I was friends with Trisha Paytas, I would not leave my child with her. Like, it's mean to say, like, I wouldn't trust you with my kid, but she has a history of erratic behavior, so I don't know how you would feel comfortable doing that. And then Trisha ended up talking about how everybody pretends that they're perfect online. Everybody pretends they're perfect. Mykie pretended that she was perfect. You know, so many other people are goody two-shoes and they hide their real selves, and yet Trisha gets canceled because she's honest. And I think that Trisha kind of thinks that because she's honest, like because she's so open, that she shouldn't be criticized, which I do not agree with. I think if you do hurtful things or bad things, people can be mad at you. But I understand what she's saying about how a lot of people kind of hide their true colors, and then when they get exposed, it's like, ooh, see, told you they were acting too goody two-shoes. So I get that, but it just kind of devolved into Trisha telling Ethan that he was pathetic and that no wonder he'd been with the same woman for 12 years. And she's like, oh, Moses and I have fights because he knows I don't like his family. I've never liked you. Just went off on Ethan. And she was like, you're sad and pathetic, and it's okay. Like, I know that that's why you're talking to me like that, because you're broken. And literally just, like, railing on his family, which was terrible. And then she walked out. And a lot of people in the comment section were saying, like, oh, Ethan Ethan tried to make it better, but he's the friend that Trisha needs. And I'm like, no. Quite honestly, no. Like, Ethan did try to make it better when he saw that she was getting really upset. He was like, hey, like, I'm not trying to make you mad. He was being a little bit antagonistic, but he was like, I'm not trying to make you mad. Like, let's go ahead and chill. Let's calm down. Let's, you know, fix this so we can go on with the show. And Trisha was like, no, it's fine. I'm good. I never liked you. And she leaves. But I don't care if Ethan likes her as a friend. That's a toxic relationship to be in. That's a toxic friendship to be in, where your friend can't talk to you and have a conversation and reconcile something. She literally walked off the set of a podcast at work. That is her job. And she walked off because she got so mad and did not come back. And she literally, I don't think Ethan has addressed this publicly, but she said, like, oh, well, you pretend you're so perfect, but you used to be addicted to pills. And, like, that's so far out of line, Trisha. Just because she's so open about everything does not mean that everyone else has to be open. And he's like, I wasn't addicted. I just used them when I was in Israel. Like, you know, telling his business for him. Yeah, Bryce said she was really upset because he said she weaponizes personal information, which is true, but she didn't like being called out and went way too far in return. Exactly. She got called out for behavior that she does, and instead of addressing it, tried to deflect and turn it onto him. And like I said, he was being antagonistic. No doubt, that's just who Ethan is. But at the end of the day, he was like, well, no, I didn't mean to, like, actually make you mad. Let's figure it out. And she walked away. And then she came back today. And she came back today. They did the podcast again. And in the beginning, she was like, talking about how she was here. And she wasn't sorry for anything. She was back. They were going to try to go through it. And she's like, I'm fine. I'm cool. I'm not apologizing for anything. And I'm like, that's so toxic, Trisha. Because I understand getting mad and walking away. And, like, walking out, it's your job. I think you should try and, like, reel it in for the podcast and try and finish it up. But I get the impulse to walk away. But at the end of the day, you told Ethan you never liked him. You don't like his family. He could, like, she said, I could see why you've been with the same person for 12 years and you can't do better. And it's pathetic that you're trying to have another kid. And, like, you can admit that you were wrong for that, Trisha. You can say, I lashed out. I shouldn't have gone that far. But she didn't. And she was acting very immature in the first few minutes. Just being like, I'm fine. It's good. No, I don't have anything to say to you. And he brought up the pills thing again. She's like, well, you know, it's not my fault that you're addicted to pills. And he's like, well, I want to make it known, like, I'm not addicted to pills. That was something that happened in the past. And she's like, I never said you were. Like, Trisha, yes, you just said that. Madison Ray said, and Ethan confided that in her, and it was wrong. So wrong that she said that. Yeah, like, he didn't tell her that in public. He told her that as a friend, which, that's on you for trusting Trisha Paytas to keep a secret. Madison Ray said Ethan called her crazy, and she got mad at him and exposed Ethan by saying he used to take things. Yeah, and then today she was like, well, I wasn't mad because you called me crazy. But she said that in the fight. Madison said they just decided to create that podcast to spite Keemstar. Becca said how anyone still confides personal info in Trisha at all is shocking to me. Right, like, you know she's gonna flip it on you. You know she is. So I said Trisha and Ethan are made for each other, though. Honestly, like, in a way, kind of. They do have a good dynamic. Like, when they get going, I think they're both very kind of, like, stubborn and out there and kind of ridiculous in the way that they act sometimes. And I can see why people like the dynamic. But at the end of the day, like, Ethan is kind of an adult. Like, you tear away the social media personality. He's been married for years. He has a kid. He runs his own company. And when he saw that Trisha was legitimately getting upset, he was like, well, no, let's talk about it. I didn't mean to make you this mad. And instead, she just walks away. And again, like I said, I get being upset and wanting to, like, have a minute. But the fact that she came back the next week and was acting the way that she was acting like she wasn't sorry for anything. I think Trisha is somebody who I think that they can move forward with the podcast and that's fine, but in a lot of cases, I think that once you do Trisha wrong, that's it. She's not sorry, you're trash, and she kept saying today, like, she's like, you're broken like me, so I get it. You're broken, you're sad, I get it. And the fact that she straight up said, I never liked you to him, is something super hurtful. I get if you have, like, a business relationship with somebody and you know, want to just do a podcast because you have a good dynamic and you get along professionally, but you're dating his brother-in-law. You are involved with his family and his life personally, and you have to handle issues like this a little bit more maturely than the way that she did. Courtney said, Trisha said multiple times she was addicted to pills. Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure yelled at him for saying she was crazy for being off her meds, even though he didn't say that. Yeah. Marty said, did Ethan say he actually confided in her, or could it have been Moses? No, I'm pretty sure it was him. Because he said, I didn't say that publicly. Because she was talking about how, like, they talked about other things that were kind of, like, risque information. He's like, but I didn't say that publicly. And now that I'm calling you out for weaponizing private information, this is what you did. You take something that I told you and you share it with everybody when it wasn't meant to be shared with everybody. Madison said, I think Trisha is very manipulative and instills trust in people, and the moment she gets upset with someone, she uses whatever information she can to get her revenge. Yeah. Becca said, being able to turn on a dime like that and weaponize your friendship is something I will never understand. Same. Like, I just don't get it, because if I said something like that to somebody, if I, like, lashed out and was pissed and just said the worst thing I could think of to somebody, I would feel so bad. And later I would go back and be like, you know what, like, I was just really angry, I was worked up, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. But she literally acted, what she reminded me of was me at, like, 17. No, not 17, maybe, like, 16, 15, 16. When I would have, like, a fight with my mom because I would, I don't know, break curfew or, like, get in trouble for something. And we would get into it, and the second, like, I was over it, I'd be like, okay, that's fine. And she would try to talk to me. I'd be like, no, I'm good. Okay. And it would piss her off so bad. And seeing Trisha do it today, I'm like, that is terrible. That is a horrible way to continue a conversation or to like act when somebody's actually trying to resolve an issue with you, is just by shutting down and being like, I don't have a problem. I'm not sorry. And yet she's talks about sometimes how she's lonely and how she can't maintain relationships. You gotta be willing to work through stuff with people. Even if you don't feel like you did something wrong, be willing to listen, have the conversation, and consider the fact that maybe you were a little bit out of line, because she was. Bryce said, you can tell she has black and white thinking, and that's what it's like when people have mental health issues. I mean, I don't want to speak on her mental health issues, but she has said herself that she's supposed to be on medication, but she hasn't. She said, like, she didn't feel right when she was on the medication that she was prescribed. And I get that, like, not wanting to be on medication because you don't like the side effects, but she has all the resources in the world if she wanted to actually, like, continue going to a therapist and a psychiatrist to get the right combination of meds. She has all the time in the world to do that. Sharon said, the way they fight reminds me of my siblings and I. Yeah. And I think she does actually like Ethan. I know she likes to pretend that she doesn't, but I think she secretly does. I think she's a little bit jealous. Some people were saying that she was like projecting the fact that she was like, well, it's sad and pathetic about Ethan's relationship and trying to have a second kid. And he's like, well, you just said that you wanted to get married and have a kid. You just said it was your dream to be a mom. Like, why is that pathetic? And I think she's very insecure in some cases, and that's why she kind of lashes out like that. Marty said Trisha seems to be in a state of arrested development. Definitely. I could see, I mean, we see that a lot in the way that she acts. It seems very immature. Oscar said they're both children. Yeah. Essentially. And I just wonder what it's like behind the scenes. Oscar said, okay, are there any Jewish people here? Because all of that was a lot. What? I'm confused. You're talking about how Trisha didn't know that the Holocaust was real? I'm so confused. Courtney said, my older sibling is Jewish and they refused to even glance towards Trisha when she did that whole spiel. Wait, what did I miss? When she said he couldn't have his Jew card anymore? Is that what you guys are talking about? Oh, Oscar said she's been making TikToks about her Jew lunch and other things like that. What? Oh my god. Trisha, no. I refuse to believe that Trisha doesn't know what the Holocaust is. Because apparently they did, like, are you smarter than a 5th grader? Like a quiz, and she didn't know what it was. And she's saying, like, no, I really don't. Like, I have no idea. And he asked her to watch Schindler's List. And she's like, oh, I didn't know that that's what it was going to be about. I didn't finish it because I was eating mac and cheese and it felt weird. And I'm like, there's no way that you don't know what the Holocaust is, Trisha. Marty McFlynn said, guess she's found another culture to appropriate. Pretty much. That's what she said. She's like, I'm obsessed with, like, Jewish people. Not Jewish people, but she's like, I'm obsessed with Moses' type now. What am I trying to say? Like, Middle Eastern people? Like, I'm obsessed with Arabic people and people from Dubai. And I'm like, girl, what? Why don't... I mean, I get, like, having a certain look that you think is attractive, but what? Ileana said she's been fetishizing fetishizing Jewish men and she tries to speak Hebrew. Yeah, she said, yeah, Marty McFlone, yes. She said Middle Eastern. And she spoke Hebrew, I guess. Or she said she spoke Arabic. I don't even know what she said it was. But she said it was either Hebrew or Arabic. And that the words, the phrase that she said was, I'm very, very horny. And I'm like, Trisha, why is that what you are learning? Like, why can't you learn something productive? Yeah, Oscar, or maybe I'll just go, I'll like download TikTok. I made like one TikTok one time and I was like, I can't be on this app. But, yeah. Send those to me, please. Thank you. Courtney said, from my point of view, a lot of really insensitive and ignorant statements she makes on TikTok and on the podcast. Yeah, I mean, Oscar said she's clearly doing it on purpose, but yeah. She just talks. She just does what she wants. And it was very interesting to me because she said to Ethan, she was like, oh, did you complain about your hotel room? Because he said it wasn't that great and like they paid $1,600 a night for it, but there was a palm tree in the way of their view. And he said no. And she was like, oh, well, your Jew card is revoked. I'm like, Trisha, why would you say that? Because here's the thing. Like, if you're really good friends with somebody and that's the kind of humor that they are okay with and they are Jewish, that's one thing. But, like, saying it on a podcast to somebody who you said you never even really liked in the first place, don't do that. Why would you say that? Saya said, there's tweets of her saying, how did Hitler not like the Jews, so how could she not know? Oh my gosh. Yeah, obviously she knows. She just is playing it up. Ileana said, I've taught Hebrew for years. She has no idea how to speak Hebrew. It's painful to watch and listen to. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so there's just a lot of things that she does and says that are ridiculous. And the thing is, like, she thinks that everybody has to be okay with it because she's open and honest and she doesn't pretend to be, like, a goody two-shoes. And it's like, no. People can still be mad. Yeah. So, there's, like, I don't know. It's like the kind of pettiness is fine. Their, like, back and forth relationship is okay. But at the same time, the way that Trisha acts is just not something I want to support. I don't keep up with Ethan a lot, so I don't really know outside of this what kind of content he makes. I watched his like content nuke on Keemstar, which is fine. Like it was okay, but I haven't watched a ton of his stuff. And so it's like I don't think I'm going to keep watching the podcast because why? Why would I support somebody who does infuriating things like that? Marty McFlone said fetishizing people isn't funny. Exactly. Eliana said she says it's cultural appreciation, not appropriation. It's scary how she rationalizes her actions. That's one way to approach it, I guess. I don't know. The thing for me, this is like one of the last things I'll say. Something for me is I don't love when women like pretend to be dumb. And I know that Trisha is not dumb. Like I know that Trisha knows this stuff is wrong and this stuff irritates people. And with the Jew card thing, like I said, if your friend is Jewish and you know that they are okay with that kind of humor and they will not be upset or offended and you make that joke to them, that's one thing. But saying that you don't like this person and then making that joke in public is another thing where it's just like, why? Why do you need to say that? Because that sounds like, I don't want to say bullying, but it's just rude. Like, you don't need to make a comment on his background because he didn't make a complaint about the hotel room not being up to his standards. It's rude and it's insensitive, and she knows that it is, and she does this stuff on purpose for attention, and she is so much smarter than she puts herself off to be. And I think that she doesn't want to like act the way that she could, because she'll be held to a higher standard. This way she can say, well, everybody just hates me because I'm real, when you know that you're trying to incite people being mad at you. Oscar said, honestly, I'd wait until that person starts the joke to say anything. Yeah, anyway, like, that's the thing. If you're, like, testing it out with a new friend, I wouldn't say anything at all, because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. Like, don't make that joke. I agree with you, until maybe they start it. But if I'm saying, like, if you're already friends with somebody, if you're already super close and you know their sense of humor, and you know that, like, you've made jokes like that and they've made jokes like that and it's cool and it's not offensive, like, one of my best friends will, like, roast me all the time. And, ooh, are we getting buffering? YouTube's not receiving enough video. Why? Are we buffering still? Okay. Well, anyway, what I was saying is, like, my friend will roast me all the time. Like, oh my gosh. Okay, you guys can still hear me. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up then, because obviously the time has come and gone. Oh, I know why you guys can hear me, but not see me. My camera's dying. Gotcha. Okay. Well, in that case, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. The camera is dying. But what I was saying is, like, if it's your friend and you know, and y'all get along in a certain way where that's okay with you guys, that's one thing. But doing it publicly is a completely different thing. And the fight was ridiculous. I just wanted to talk about it. So, like I said earlier, I'm going to put a post up on my Instagram if you want to do a response to that and be included in a future video on my personal channel. Go follow me over there. The link is in the description. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me, chilling. This was a really interesting conversation, and I loved having you guys here to all share our thoughts and our opinions on it. And with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Thank you so much for watching. Please be kind to people, and I will see you in the next one.